Before we get started, I want to thank you guys for clicking on this podcast. You guys can listen to the RPOCAST basically wherever podcasts are posted. Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. YouTube will be a video format as well if you guys prefer video formats. However, we pretty much everywhere. If we're somewhere that you watch podcasts that we're not, definitely let us know, and we will consider trying our best to put our podcast on that platform. Thank you guys so much once again for posting. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. Hello, football fans. It is Thursday, April 20th. Happy 420 Day. Happy NFL Substance Abuse Testing Day as well. Welcome to the RPOCAST. It's here. It's finally happening. Doing a solo show today, so I am your host, Skylar. And this has been a podcast years in the making, and it has been something that we've been wanting to do for a very long time. Fortunately, couldn't get anybody on with me today. However, that should change in the future. I have a ton of people that should and will be able to join me in these podcasts. It just happened to be today, the only day I had off. Other people had other days off. Got children at home, so this is my only free day to record this, and I wanted to make sure I got this done before the NFL draft started. Anyways, I guess we could jump into this. So this episode is kind of a test episode. Probably works best that way, that it's just me to kind of figure out, dip my toes in the water, and kind of figure out how long it's going to be, what topics we should talk about. I am going to do a mock draft today, so if you guys are interested, feel free to stick around. Feel free to skip ahead. It's kind of up to you. But first, we're going to start with some NFL news that have kind of happened over the past week or so. Probably left some things out. However, we tried to hit the bigger items from the past week. I would say, without a doubt, the biggest news from the past week is Jalen Hurts signing a 5-year extension worth $255 million. That is unbelievable amount of money. He is now the highest player in NFL history. So if you just take a step back and think about that for one, that is such a long time. That is so many players to be the number one highest paid player of all time. Unbelievable. He signed through 2028, which is also insane to think about because 2028 seems like it's far away. In fact, it's only 5 years. However, don't even want to get into that subject. He signed a year early, so everybody believed this was going to be a prove-it year for Jalen. However, him taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and honestly should have been MVP of the Super Bowl, even though whatever reason they don't give MVP to a player on the losing team, Jalen Hurts, he ran the Super Bowl, quite literally, and through it, I guess, but he should have been MVP in every aspect of the Super Bowl. Kind of got robbed in a way because he was on the losing side. I don't know what happened to the Eagles in that Super Bowl, to be honest. They were just running all over the first half, and in the second half, it's like, yeah, let's just change it up for whatever reason. Stick to what works. It's as simple as that. As I'm saying, I've never made a Super Bowl, obviously. There is this tweet from Mr. RG3 that kind of went through Jalen Hurts' journey and how he says it's like a Hollywood movie. And I just wanted to run through it real quick, just kind of give you guys a little more of a glimpse on the quarterback Jalen Hurts has been throughout college and whatnot. He's the first true freshman to start at Alabama in 32 years. That alone is just a mind-blowing stat, to be able to be a true freshman and come into Alabama of all places. You always have the top recruits. I mean, to win out against all the other quarterbacks in that room is just mind-blowing in its own. Took Alabama to back-to-back national championship games. Then he was benched in the second half of the national title game after he struggled very badly in the first half. And he was actually benched for a quarterback known as Tua Tagovailoa. Probably said that wrong. Close enough. Cheered on Tua and the rest of the team, so this is actually very impressive. So they actually kept a camera on Jalen for the second half, and he was the first to congratulate Tua or anybody on that offense or defense whenever a big play happened. So that was huge. That kind of gives you into the mind of Jalen Hurts that even though he did not play very well the first half, he is still a team player. So that was huge for any NFL team watching that. Didn't transfer, saw it through, stayed and developed, and replaced a struggling hurt Tua in the SEC championship the next year. So it kind of rolls around the other way. Tua gets hurt, Jalen has to come in, where he came off the bench to replace him and led Alabama to a national championship. So once again, back at the national championship with Jalen Hurts at the crown. Transferred to Oklahoma for his last eligible season and was a Heisman finalist. I want to say he finished like third in ranking. Could be wrong. That's just off the top of my head. He was drafted to the Eagles in the second round as a quarterback after many people told him he should switch positions. You should be a running back. You should be a receiver. You should maybe even switch to corner. You are not going to be a quarterback that makes it in this league. I mean, come on. These people are ridiculous now looking back at it. Beats out a franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. Now, Carson really didn't help that situation. However, Jalen playing the way he did definitely did help that situation. He led the Eagles to the playoffs in 2021, and many people believe that he was the future in Philly. Didn't believe, I'm sorry. And there was a lot of question marks around Jalen. There was even people saying, hey, draft another quarterback the year after. After the Eagles went in and absolutely souped up their team on both sides of the ball, he led the Eagles to a Super Bowl and was the MVP runner-up last season. So, once again, I've already kind of dipped into that a little bit. He should have been Super Bowl MVP. That should be a title for whoever. The single player that plays the best in the entire Super Bowl should win MVP, regardless if their team wins or loses. And now he's the highest paid player in NFL history. What an absolute crazy timeline he's had just over the last, 5-6 years? I mean, to go from a freshman in college, starting at Alabama, to getting benched in a national championship game, to replacing the quarterback that benched you, transferring out, almost winning a Heisman, and then boom, you're in the league, you beat out a franchise quarterback to start. Like, unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. So, Jalen, the Eagles were super smart for doing this. Get Jalen's contract done before Lamar signs, before Herbert signs, before Burrow signs. Because, each one of those quarterbacks and their agents, apart from Lamar, he doesn't have an agent, obviously, is going to want the maximum contract for their guy and for themselves. Because the more money the player makes, the more money the agent makes. Kind of makes sense. So, that brings me to the point of Lamar Jackson. Now, what in the world is going on with Lamar? He received the non-exclusive franchise tag for a quarterback, which is very interesting, which means any team can go and talk to Lamar, and Lamar actually requested a trade too, so this kind of adds into the whole thing. Now, any team can go talk to the Lamar, however, that simply just isn't happening, and it's just kind of bizarre to think there are teams out there that need a quarterback, and Lamar has showed plenty of promise. He's been a league MVP, and it's just bizarre that teams aren't offering him a contract. Now, I get it's kind of scary. He doesn't have an agent. Him, his mom, and another anonymous person have been kind of working on the contracts with the teams, with the Ravens. However, we got teams out there like the Texans, the Panthers, even like the Titans, the Colts, who desperately need a quarterback. You're telling me you would not take a shot at Lamar? I mean, why risk it with one of these rookie quarterbacks you could draft this year? You could almost knock it out of the park and select Lamar, who you know his ceiling, you know how he plays, you can build your team around him. And a lot of those teams, I mean, you throw Lamar on the Indianapolis Colts, you got Lamar and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. What a freaking combination that is. Now, Lamar apparently was offered a $250 million deal, which is basically on par with the Jalen Hurts, with $133 million guaranteed at signing and $200 total guaranteed. Now, those guarantees, I believe, are actually more than what Jalen got. However, it was rumored. This is all rumored. We don't know if this is official or not, but it has happened in the past where teams leak their contracts they offered to the team. That way, the fan base is like, oh, well, the team's doing everything they can to get him to sign. He's just not budging. He's not helping the team at all in any sort of facts, trying to make Lamar look like the bad guy. Now, Baltimore hasn't officially said they come out and do that because they want to try to make themselves good in Lamar's view. Because if you try to bury him, he already wants to leave. That's just a recipe for disaster. So Ari Mirov, tweeted this: when Lamar became when Lamar became eligible for a new deal, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL was Patrick Mahomes at $45 million a year on a 10-year extension. That contract alone was bizarre. And then Dak Prescott at 40. The market is now at $51 million a year for a quarterback, and I would say it's probably honestly moved up from there even, and it's only going up. So this is kind of what people were thinking. Why they were asking why Lamar didn't sign a contract when he could. He waited and waited, and he's still waiting. It's because every quarterback that goes before him is going to increase that contract threshold. And in doing so, when Lamar finally signs his contract, I mean, if he would have signed right here, he's making 45. He probably would have made a million or two, maybe pushing 50. I mean, if you wait long enough and you have Herbert sign, you have Burrow sign, I mean, those contracts alone, we're probably talking in the $60 million range a year for a quarterback, which is just crazy to think about. So the longer he waits, the bigger contract he should get. However, it could hit those weird waters where he ends up losing money because he's waiting so long. And it'll get a little, it's probably, I couldn't imagine what's going on through Lamar's head right now, because you're waiting out, you're trying to make the most money you can out of the whole situation. However, you have all this guaranteed money sitting there. I mean, part of you is like, how do you not jump on that? Guaranteed money, even guaranteed injury money. You go out, you tear your ACL, or you have some kind of freak injury, and you still walk out of the league with $133 million. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's just crazy. Just something to think about, man. And apparently Lamar has asked the Ravens to go out and sign OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins. He wanted both. And the Ravens told him, well, we can't do both. And they went out and they signed OBJ, who was very, very close to signing, I'm going to say with the Cowboys. There was another, the Jets. He's supposed to visit the Jets on that Monday. And then the Baltimore called him like a day or two before he was supposed to fly out and was like, here's this contract. We're offering you like $18 million or $15 million with $3 million in incentives right now. Take it or leave it. And OBJ's like, deal. We're done. FaceTimes with Lamar. They celebrate. Lamar gets a weapon in Baltimore, which he just simply hasn't had. So, bringing up the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, we still have not had a trade happen yet between the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers. Now, what the heck is going on with Green Bay? Why is this still at a standstill? No, apparently it's come out that Green Bay wants a first-round pick for Rodgers, and the Jets they're saying, no, that's not going to happen. And I think what Green Bay is worried is if Rodgers goes there, plays very well, and he plays multiple years. Now, they want something very good in return, especially if Rodgers goes there and wins a Super Bowl, then Green Bay is going to look so dumb that they just haven't helped him out in the recent years, and they want to make sure that they get something good. So I imagine we're probably going to see something on draft day, because the Jets are going to be like, we have to get this done. We need to figure out what we're going to do in the draft. You guys are screwed if you keep Rodgers. We need Rodgers as well. So, I mean, there's a standstill on both sides, but we got to get this done. We got to get it done now so Rodgers can get the voluntary workouts, meet his team, learn a new playbook, etc., etc. Though, not too much of a new playbook, because the Jets' offensive coordinator used to be Rodgers' offensive coordinator. So, offense probably won't be too bad, but when I just think about the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, oh my God. I'm going to go look at their depth chart. But you have Garrett Wilson, for one, who was a certified dog last season. And you have Aaron Rodgers throwing to him now and not some bum named Zach Wilson. So we look here at their new depth chart. So Allen Lazard, that's definitely an Aaron Rodgers pick. Like, they wanted to really sweeten the deal to make sure Rodgers came to the Jets and didn't end up retiring. That Allen Lazard makes sense. McCole Hardman, also a solid slot receiver. He was very good with the Chiefs a few years back. And even some of these little backups they got, Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, have shown quite a bit of promise. Now, could they go receiver again in the draft? I mean, they were trying to get OBJ, which means, the receiver room's still open. So that is something they could end up doing in the draft. Maybe not in the first, but in a later round. Kind of makes sense. All right, other news. Budda Baker has requested a trade. Now, what is going on in Arizona? You got Budda Baker wanting out. You've got DeAndre Hopkins wanting out. What the heck's going on with Kyler? Has he been studying or playing Call of Duty? That's a big issue. But to me, honestly, it feels like we're at the point where, like, if I'm betting on a team to get 0 wins this season, I mean, the Cardinals are pretty far up that list because Kyler's going to be out for a while. Their star receiver, who, when he was out last season, they had no production at all on offense. And then one of your star defensive backs in Budda Baker is wanting out or a new contract before his current contract's even up. I mean, it's just not looking good for Arizona. There's rumors with their owner allegedly doing a bunch of stuff. Team might end up selling even. So Cardinals just seem like they're in a very, very bad spot. And they might be dead. I don't know. We'll have to see. In very recent news, kind of surprised to me, being a Steelers fan. You guess you can't see the logo. It's on the back. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have traded for Rams wide receiver Allen Robinson. Pretty surprising to me. And then I ended up finding out what they traded for. They swapped 7th round picks for Allen Robinson. Swapped 7th round picks. That's it. That's crazy to me. Crazy to think about a starting receiver in the league. Swap 7th round picks. The Rams still pay him $10 million of his cap. So he's only in Pittsburgh for $5 million this season. Now, ultimately, he was probably going to get cut by the Rams anyways, and they would have to pay the whole contract. So, in a way, it slightly helps the Rams, but everybody else looking at it, the Steelers absolutely fleeced the Rams on this. And very good. I mean, you get Kenny Pickett, another weapon. Now you have Pickens, you have Allen Robinson, you have Deontay Johnson, you get Calvin Austin back. I mean, it's not a bad receiver core if I say so myself. Moving on, Josh Jacobs, Evan Ingram, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley have not signed their franchise tags, and all of them will not be at voluntary workouts that have already started. This is kind of older news. Voluntary workouts have been going on for a couple days, but it's pretty big news. All these big-time players looking for new contracts, not at voluntary workouts. Now, yes, it is voluntary, but it is good to get in there, work with your team, kind of get a early start on what your offense and your defense is going to run like. Pray that I don't lose my voice by the end of this. A lot of talking, just me. NFL draft. So who the heck is going to go number 1? Is it going to be a quarterback at all? Obviously, probably, because the Panthers traded up to number 1. Is it going to be Stroud? Is it going to be Young? Is it going to be Richardson? Is it going to be Levis? Now, for the longest time, it was Stroud. Stroud's the guy. He's going number 1. He impressed everybody last season. He played almost a perfect national championship game. Came down, well, playoff game, I should say. Not championship. Should have made it to the championship, but, kicker kicks the ball, and it doesn't go in the uprights. Ohio State's out. But he played almost the perfect game against Georgia, looked amazing, and he looked mobile. It's something we haven't seen from him all season at Ohio State. He just simply wasn't a mobile quarterback. He was in the pocket. He would dance around a little bit, but he did not use his legs. He showed off his legs in Georgia game and looked very impressive. Now, all of a sudden, it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young's going number 1. However, all the recent talk has been, oh no, he's too short. He's too short for the NFL. He's the next Kyler Murray. He's the next Drew Brees. He's not big enough. He's not going to be able to see over the offensive line. Now, I read that as a bunch of bullcrap because he went to Alabama, who I'm sure all of their offensive linemen are 6'6 plus, 300 pounds plus. If he could see over an Alabama offensive line, he can see over an NFL offensive line because Alabama, they're obviously getting the best O-line in recruiting every single year. And all 5 of those guys that are starting are going to be starters in the NFL. It's just simply how it works. Anthony Richardson, the guy who surprised everybody at the NFL draft. Now, a lot of people don't much care for the NFL draft. They think it's kind of a circus thing or parading all these players, but he did impress. He set a ton of records at the NFL draft and looked very impressive. However, going back and looking at his tape, he did not impress that many people throughout the season. So, pretty iffy on Anthony Richardson. Now, yes, he didn't have the team around him. He didn't have a great offensive line. He didn't have a great receiving corps to throw to. So, he's a huge question mark. He's got the talent. It's just, can he work out in the NFL against actual NFL defenses? That's going to be the biggest question. Now, Bryce Young has canceled all remaining visits with teams. He's already visited with the Panthers and the Texans. Pretty obvious. A lot of people believe that quarterbacks are going to go 1 and 2. Though that's starting to change once we're getting closer. A lot of people, maybe me included, have the Texans not selecting a quarterback with the second pick. Shocker, shocker. But, I mean, a lot of people are even saying that Stroud is uncoachable and may slip in the draft. Now, people were even comparing him to Malik Willis. How it was Malik Willis versus Kenny Pickett. What quarterback's going to go first? Kenny goes to, 20 to Pittsburgh last year? And Malik falls clear back to the third round. There's no shot Stroud's going to fall to the third round. He's still going to go in the first. Is he going to go? He's probably going to go in the top 10, but is he going to go 1, 2, 3, or 4? That's basically what we're seeing. A lot of people believe quarterback at 1 to the Panthers, quarterback at 2 to the Texans, and then a quarterback at 4 to the Colts. And then you might have another team scoop in and maybe get a quarterback. Now, another part is all of this a lie? Are teams hyping up Bryce Young in hopes that the Panthers take Bryce Young at 1, and then boom, CJ Stroud's still available at 2, 3, 4, wherever? It could definitely happen. It's definitely happened in the past. You have all these bad things come out about a guy draft day. I mean, look at Laramie Tunzel, supposed to be a certified first-round pick. Video comes out of him in his gas mask, and boom, he falls and falls and falls. And then boom, a team gets him late in the draft in an absolute steal. So, I mean, just not saying that it is all lies, but I'm saying it's happened before. And it honestly would not surprise me if it happened again. So, 25 minutes into this, not doing too bad. I think I'm going to start on the NFL mock draft. Now, if I can get another episode out before the draft, that would be amazing. Hopefully I can get Brody, Gabe, and whoever else on that I can, and maybe get their mock drafts and see what their thoughts are. I am a Steelers fan, though I'm wearing a Steelers hat, an Eagles jersey, I have a Green Bay jersey behind me. I have quite a few jerseys in my collection. Definitely looking to get more. A lot of them are old. I like kind of the vintage. That's why, I mean, this freaking Cunningham jersey is amazing. I love this thing. We got a Shannon Sharp. I have a Brett Favre one out in the garage. Might end up burning that, allegedly. Don't even want to get into that. I'm going to stay away from that whole subject. That whole, not even dipping the toe in it. Not even listening to it. All right. So, NFL mock draft time. Now, I did do trades. Didn't go crazy. We had 3 trades in the first round, which, I mean, probably pretty average, if I had to guess. Was it last year or the year before where we had a ton of trades? We had like 3 trades almost back to back in the middle of the round. We had like receivers getting traded, AJ Brown getting traded, Hollywood Brown getting traded. Like, I think last year was kind of crazy. I don't think it's going to be that crazy this year, but we never know with how everything's working out in the NFL with cap space and everything and voided years. And it seems like teams have unlimited cap space. Some teams do, some teams don't. We're definitely going to have to see. So, let's get the heck into this draft. Now, I'm going to warn you, it's going to show the trades at the top. Kind of ignore them. Yes, those teams are trading in my mock draft. However, ignore what they're trading for because I had to do some pretty ridiculous trades just to get the trades to go through because they have some kind of algorithm that's like, nope, this trade gets declined, this gets accepted, and you can't even trade players. So, take it with a grain of salt when you see the trades. All right, so we're going to zoom in, zoom. At number 1, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting quarterback C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State University. I believe Stroud is the best quarterback in this class, and I think Stroud is going to change the Ohio State reputation at quarterback. Now, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Can't say that. Is he going to be a decent quarterback? I do believe so. I believe he is the best quarterback in this draft overall wise. He's the most NFL ready. Now, you could probably make a very good argument for Bryce Young. Did play for Bama. Obviously, has seen many different opponents, many different defenses, and you could argue that Bryce Young is also NFL ready. But C.J. Stroud, his size, his presence, how he's played all season, and how he played in the playoffs is a very, very big thing for me. Is why I believe he goes number 1. At number 2, the Texans skip out on a quarterback. Crazy, right? And select the best defensive mind in this class, Will Anderson Jr., edge, Alabama. Now, why would they do this? They just signed D'Amico Ryans to be their head coach, who is obviously a very defensive-minded guy. He played defense in the NFL for quite a few years, which is why they go the best defensive player, bolster that defense. Games are won in the trenches. They select Will Anderson, number 2. Number 3, we have a trade. So at this point, the Indianapolis Colts are like, we can't let anybody jump in front of us. We're going to trade it first, and we'll get rid of like a third or a fourth to move up one spot so we could secure our quarterback. Now, a lot of people believe they were going to have to stick with Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. However, with the Texans selecting Will Anderson, they are going to jump all over Bryce Young, and Bryce Young will be the future quarterback with the Indianapolis Colts. At number 4, Cardinals, very bummed out. They were probably thinking they were going to get Will Anderson because the Texans are going to select a quarterback. So they go the next best edge available. It's their number 1 position of need, especially after losing J.J. Watt. Tyree Wilson, edge, Texas Tech. Solid pick. At number 5, we see a run on edges a little bit. Seahawks kind of freak out. We have to select the next best edge available, which is why they select Lucas Van Ness, edge, Iowa. Games are won in the trenches. You need a good defensive line. If you don't have a good defensive line, people are going to run all over you and pass all over you because that D-line cannot get to the quarterback. Number 6, Lions fans are probably punching the air because all of the good edges are falling off the board, which is why they select corner Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. This is a very solid pick. Beef up that secondary because all these top tier edges are already falling. Let's select the next best defensive player available, which is why you're going corner. You need help corner. Very, very good pick for the Lions here. So this Las Vegas Raiders selecting offensive tackle Peter Skoronski, if I'm saying that right, from Northwestern. Now, a lot of people are like, what about the Ohio State boy? Why aren't you selecting him here? Now, Peter, he can play tackle. He can play guard. He can play on both sides of the ball. He's a rotational guy, can play multiple positions. And this just feels like a McDaniels pick. This is something the Patriots would have picked back when McDaniels was there, which is why McDaniels is bringing that Patriot mind to the Raiders, is why they're going to take Peter here. Number 7. Losing the voice a little bit. Apologize. A lot of talking. All right. At number 8, as you could see, the Atlanta Falcons select defensive lineman Jalen Carter from Georgia. This is going to be a risky pick because we don't know exactly still what's going on with Jalen Carter. There was a big accident during, I believe, their parade night. It actually ended up killing a couple other Georgia players. And he's had some stuff going on. He showed up to their pro day not looking great, overweight. However, it just seems like the perfect risk for the Atlanta Falcons. This guy was supposed to be the number 1 pick for the last 2 or 3 years. Take a risk on him at number 8 and just cross your fingers at this point. He should be good for the Atlanta Falcons. At number 9, the Ohio State boy I was just talking about that could have gone to 7, Paris Johnson Jr. Why does this make sense? Reunites with Justin Fields. They both played at Ohio State. Makes a lot of sense. Bears need that offensive line. Protect Justin, because I believe he was the most sacked quarterback last year. Let's give him some protection so he doesn't, I don't know, get his legs knocked off of his body and die on the field. At number 10, the Eagles fans are probably punching the air. Jalen Carter went 8. Jalen announced that he was not taking any more visits past number 10. He was going to go in the top 10. I assume that's because the Eagles were like, if you fall to 10, you're going to be an Eagle. That's going to happen. So they end up settling for Nolan Smith, edge Georgia. Eagles need help on that D-line. They lost a lot of people on that D-line this offseason. And Nolan Smith, Georgia. Now, according to boards, he's not the best edge available, but he is from Georgia. He has seen elite offensive lines through other SEC teams, which is why I would take his experience over anybody else currently available. That's why I see the Eagles going Nolan Smith at number 10. Number 11, we have the Tennessee Titans selecting Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. Now, a lot of people think Titans could go quarterback here. However, I think they roll with Ryan Tannehill for another season. Let's get some protection. We need protection on that offensive line. And we still have Malik Willis that you signed last year, that you drafted last year, who showed little bit of promise, but he's going to have a whole nother year behind him. And he just has to get comfortable. That's going to be his biggest thing. Get comfortable in the pocket. Also get comfortable out of the pocket. I bet they roll the dice on Malik Willis. At number 12, the Texans have another pick, and they go, holy crap, quarterbacks are still available. D'Amico Ryans being a young head coach, he sees, boom, this is the most athletic quarterback we've seen in the last 10 years. Welcome to the Texans. With the Houston Texans selecting quarterback Anthony Richardson at number 12. Number 13, the New York Jets select offensive tackle Darnell Wright from Tennessee. This just makes sense. You have Aaron Rodgers coming in. He's not getting any younger. He's going to be, 40 this year? 39, 40, 41, somewhere around there. So, Rodgers, get protection. We don't want to see Rodgers die out there on the field. And offensive line, it's never going to be a bad pick in the first round, unless you're taking Cole Strange in the first, and he wasn't supposed to go till the fourth. Not pointing at any names. Speaking of not pointing, number 14, we have the New England Patriots selecting corner Devon Witherspoon from Illinois. This is a solid pick. A lot of people don't think that Witherspoon he's even going to fall this far. A lot of people think he's still going to go in the top 10. If he's still available, Belichick being a defensive guy, going boom, that's our guy. He started for us immediately. Number 15, the Green Bay Packers don't learn from their past experience with Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of people they could go with here. They could go Jackson Smith and Jigba. They could go Jordan Addison. They could get Jordan level weapon, get him more protection on the O-line. But they go, nope, our defense kind of stunk last year. Let's go defense. Even though they double dipped in the first round last year on defense, they're going to do a defense yet again by taking edge Miles Murphy from Clemson. Gotta learn, Packers. Number 16, we have the Washington Red Football Commanders selecting corner Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Now, I know Steelers fans at 17 are punching the air right now. The story would be too good. Joey Porter going to Pittsburgh. His father played for Pittsburgh. He's even a Penn State guy. It lines up too much, which is why the Commanders are going to steal Joey Porter from under their noses one pick before him, which is also why at 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Deonte Banks, corner, Maryland. Now, he's probably going to need a little bit of help. Didn't play that many great teams during the season. Showed a lot of promise. However, not having the experience against elite receivers in college hopefully won't come back to bite him. But he should have enough veteran presence on Steelers to learn and kind of grow and develop into a very decent cornerback. Number 18, we got a trade. We're going to go up top. So, Detroit falls back. Minnesota goes from pick 23 to 18. Now, there is a chance, there's a very good chance that the Vikings ship Dalvin Cook in this trade. So at first, and Dalvin Cook to move up 5 spots. A lot of rumors Dalvin Cook is probably going to get traded during the draft, or or he's going to get cut. So, which is why I see the Vikings trading up to 18 and selecting quarterback Will Levis. Kirk's not going to be with the team that much longer. He just signed a 1-year deal. It's like 1 year. It's like fully guaranteed, I believe, which is why they need a quarterback for the future. Quarterback that comes in, sits behind Kirk for a season, and this is going to be Will Levis's Minnesota Vikings team starting next year, 2024. Makes a lot of sense to me. Tell me what you think. Number 19, Buccaneers, maybe punch in the air as well. They do kind of need a quarterback. Yes, they went out and signed Baker Mayfield. Yes, they still have Kyle Trask. And it is shown in history that quarterbacks that sit behind Tom Brady have been pretty decent. We've seen that with Jimmy G, who had to get traded out of Patriots because Tom Brady was afraid he was going to take his job. We've seen Jacoby Brissett show some promise. So will Kyle Trask kind of follow in that? It's hard to say. I do believe, yes, it is going to be Baker's team, the Buccaneers, which is why they go offensive tackle Anton Harris from Oklahoma. Whoever's going to start for quarterback, you have to have an offense in front of him, offensive line to block him. They had a lot of holes on that offensive line this past year with injuries. Solidify, especially tackles. You can't let an edge guy come and destroy your quarterback on a play. I think that's going to be a very good pick. So we have another trade. So here we have Baltimore moving up 2 spots, giving up a first and probably like a 3rd round pick because Seattle is also needy at this position. However, Seattle is going to be like getting a 3rd round pick to move back 2 spots, probably going to be worth it. With the Baltimore Ravens selecting wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. This is definitely going to be a Lamar Jackson pick. If Lamar's not signed by now, I mean, come on, Lamar, we're doing everything for you. We went out, we signed OBJ. We just drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba. Help us out. We're helping you out. Get back here. Sign your contract. You are going to have weapons to throw to this season, something you haven't seen before. Here we have a run on receiver. The Chargers need another receiver, which is why they go Quentin Johnson, wide receiver, TCU. He showed a lot of promise with TCU, especially in the playoffs this season. Max Duggan absolutely slinging the ball to this man. I think he's going to be a very solid pick for the Chargers. And at number 22, still a good pick, we have the Seattle Seahawks selecting Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC. If you remember him, he used to be on Penn State, was offered a huge NIL deal, ended up going down to USC. So he had Kenny Pickett throwing to him, then went down to USC. Now you got Caleb Williams throwing to you. He's a very good quarterback or wide receiver last year, which is why I think he's going to be a great piece for that Seattle Seahawks, who just extended Geno. So you got Jordan Addison, you got Tyler Lockett, you got DK Metcalf. What a receiver core they got brewing down there with the Seahawks. Number 23, we have Detroit Lions selecting edge Will McDonald IV. This is one of their bigger positions they need on the D-line. Now you have Will McDonald and Anthony Hutchinson on the same D-line. What an absolute masterclass they could set for every game. Detroit might be a little scary if they go defensive line, especially in the first round. And they already have Anthony Hutchinson. Let's see. Number 24, they have the Jacksonville Jaguars going corner, Kylie Ringo, Georgia. Now, yes, there are better corners available according to draft boards. However, like I said before, we're going to go with the corner with the most experience. We're not going to go with the corner that played the best last season. We're going to go with the corner that has played the most elite talent through in and out of every game. So you have these smaller receivers from like Maryland who honestly didn't play very many teams throughout the season that were that good. And then you have Georgia, who was in the powerhouse of the SEC, who played elite receivers all year, which is why I see Doug Peterson going Kylie Ringo at 24. Number 25, the New York Giants are in a Very weird situation. They had to extend Daniel Jones instead of Saquon, which means they franchised Saquon. Saquon's not happy. However, they extended Daniel Jones, which is why they go interior offensive line Osiris Torrance from Florida. Protect Daniel Jones. He is your franchise quarterback. You got to give him protection, or he gets hurt, then you're screwed. Number 26, the Dallas Cowboys select tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. This just makes too much sense after them losing out on Dalton Schultz. Dak Prescott loves his tight ends. Which is why I think they go the best tight end available with Mayer from Notre Dame. Boy was an absolute dog at Notre Dame, and it's just going to be a weapon. I mean, very good tight end. Number 27, this is an interesting pick. So we have the Buffalo Bills selecting safety Brian Branch from Alabama. A lot of people don't believe Branch is going to fall this far. However, it feels like the last few years especially, people have not been giving love to this safety position, which is why I believe he falls this far. Now everybody goes, wait, don't they have Poyer and Hyde? Yes, but they were both not healthy last season. They're both aging. They have DeMar Hamlin, who I don't, despite everything that happened to him, I don't believe he's going to be a great starter in the league, which is why you go out and get Brian Branch, who can sit behind Hyde and Poyer, learn from them, learn the NFL. He's going to be an absolute dog in years to come. At number 25, we have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting Emmanuel Forbes, corner, Mississippi State. Chance they go running back here because we don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon. They lost P. Ryan. However, we're going to help Burrow out by getting a good defense in. If the offense is, pumping out touchdowns, but the defense can't stop touchdowns, it's almost pointless. So we're taking Emmanuel Forbes, corner, Mississippi State, lock down that secondary a little bit more. Number 29, we have the New Orleans Saints selecting Kalijah Cansey, defensive lineman, Pitt. Games are won in the trenches. Solidify that D-line. Got a lot of question marks on offense, especially a quarterback. Jameis Winston coming back. There's a lot of questions with this New Orleans team. You can never go wrong with taking either offensive line or defensive line because games are won in the trenches. Number 30, Eagles fans everywhere are in celebration because Bijan Robinson has fallen clear down to 30. At number 30, the Philadelphia Eagles select running back Bijan Robinson from Texas. Losing out on Miles Sanders. Yes, they went out. They signed Rashad Penny. They re-signed Boston Scott. Bijan Robinson is the clear-cut best running back in this class, and he's going to jump bounds and wonders with this Eagles team. Jalen Hurts, Bijan in the backfield. Then you got Vontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, even Quez Watkins. Let's throw him in there. This offense is disgusting. And they already have the offensive line that's already proven. Good God, that's terrifying to think about. Bijan Robinson, and they already went defensive line in the first. Eagles are going to be scary if they get this draft. I'm sure Eagles fans everywhere, especially you, Brody, jump in. You're excited. You're excited about this draft, especially getting Bijan at number 30. Number 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs do what the Kansas City Chiefs do best. We're going to take an offensive stud here at 31 and wide receiver Zay Flowers from Boston College. This is something Kansas City is always good at. We're going to select a receiver from a smaller school, but he's going to be an absolute stud. Mahomes with these younger receivers it's been beautiful. It's been a thing of beauty. You saw him last year with, I believe it was Watson. I think that was his name. He was the free agent guy, the undrafted free agent. Absolutely went in for the Chiefs. So Zay Flowers joining that receiver core. Juju's back. So we'll see. Is Juju back? I don't know if Juju's back. I can't remember. Hold on. Juju Smith. No, he's with the Patriots. Holy crap, I forgot that. Good God. So that means the Chiefs wide receiver core is, drum roll, MVS, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Richie James, Justin Watson. That's who I was thinking of. Cornell Powell, John Ross, Justin Ross, that guy. So, I mean, receiver makes a lot of sense here because they lost Juju, who was their number one receiver, which means he didn't have the greatest season last year, but you probably always have that number one corner on him. So you kind of suffer from that wide receiver one syndrome that some receivers suffer too. So yeah, there we go. I guess that makes a lot more sense now that I go back and look at it. So, and we're going to include pick number 32 in there. Now, there's only 31 picks this year in the draft because the Dolphins lost, I believe it was pick 21 due to the whole scandal with them trying to get Tom Brady to start or get traded or get released and go to the Dolphins. They were going to give him part of the team. There was a whole situation that went on. Dolphins, they got fined. Their owner got suspended for a long time. They lost their first pick, which means there's only 31 picks, which is why number 32, a second round pick, number one, the first pick of the second round, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers after they absolutely fleeced the Bears by trading Chase Claypool for the number one overall pick in the second round. And they go defensive line, solidify that defensive line a little bit more. Brian Brees, defensive lineman, Clemson. Alex Smith, you got TJ Watt, you got Cam Hayward, you got Brian Brees, you have, what's his name that used to play for Cleveland? Don't remember. But that's a solid team, dude. So you go Steelers, depth chart. I can't remember his name. I can picture what he looks like. Ogunjobi, Larry Ogunjobi. They just extended him. So that's a pretty freaking solid D line. Would love for them to go like a linebacker, but they just went out and signed 2 new linebackers this offseason. They've also made a couple other like Patrick Peterson, Keanu Neal. Like Pittsburgh's making some plays, dude. So especially, I mean, they just traded for what's his face, Allen Robinson. It's listed as their slot receiver. Don't know if that's going to be the case, especially over Calvin Austin. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting draft. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of the RPOCAST. Hopefully get somebody on next time. Hopefully have another one out before the draft. We're currently exactly 1 week, 3 hours and 15 minutes from my voice right now. It's going to be round 1 of the draft. Hopefully they do it a lot quicker this year. Last year was a pain. Picks were sometimes 10-15 minutes late. So I'd go onto Twitter, I'd find out who was drafted, and then the freaking NFL Network broadcast, they'd be 3 picks behind. It was crazy. Hopefully they get that fixed. If you guys want to, like, the most up-to-date, Ari Mirov was tweeting picks as soon as they happened. So I imagine he'll probably do that again this year. Go to, I think it's at My Sports Update. I believe that's his page. Actually, I can look here. Yep, at My Sports Update, Ari Mirov. He was tweeting picks out as soon as they happened. So he's probably a good person to follow if you want picks tweeted out as soon as possible. I imagine he'll probably do it again this season. So definitely check that out. Still trying to figure out if we want to do a draft stream for this year. We've done one every year for the past, 5 years. Currently, I work that day, so draft starts at 8. I won't get home till 6:30, so we're cutting it pretty close. So we'll kind of have to see. Part of me wants to just sit back, relax. I'll probably end up watching like the McAfee draft stream if I don't stream at all. So we'll figure it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any recommendations at all for this podcast, definitely let us know. Podcast is going to be available on Amazon, Spotify, I believe YouTube Music. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube in a video format. And there's a couple other places that I could tell you here in a second. The Spotify. What else we got? We got Amazon Music. We have Apple Podcast. Have Google Podcasts. We have Radio Public. And that is currently it. So if there's any other podcast apps or places that you guys listen to that this is not going to be uploaded on, definitely let us know. We'll take into consideration uploading the video there, figuring out how to do that. We're very new to this. This is the very first podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Skylar. Hope you guys enjoyed the NFL news, the NFL draft news, my mock draft. Let me know what your guys' mock drafts are. Who do you guys think is going number one overall? What picks did I make that you think are wrong? How wrong was I with my mock draft? We're going to figure out in a week. So if you guys enjoyed this podcast, it's about an hour long, which is kind of what I was shooting for. Will it probably be longer in the future? Probably once we get other people in here talking. I save my voice a little bit. I'm not going to be able to talk for the rest of the day or a couple days, most likely. So, talking for 53 minutes straight, kind of a lot. You don't realize. Thank you guys for watching so much. Make sure you check out RPOCAST on all socials. We have the @RPOCAST name everywhere you look. So make sure you guys follow us, especially follow us on Twitter @RPOCAST. See you guys there. We're going to tweet whenever we make podcasts, whenever we're live. We're going to have questions for you guys. And eventually we're going to move to a live streaming format where we're live and you guys can ask questions while we're live that we can then answer while we're streaming, while we're recording. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, I've already said that 12 times. I apologize. See you guys in the next podcast. Made it this far. You are the GOAT. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the RPOcast episode 2. Thank you.